Hello, welcome to Gilboy's YouTube channel. In this video, I want to demonstrate how we go about the processes of French polishing as it was taught to me. There are 7 stages of French polishing. Well, it goes to all sorts of wood finishing. They are like the golden rules of finishing wood. Once you understand these principles, you can apply them to all types of wood finishing with all types of products. But it's a question I get asked about a lot, about finishing, and it will hopefully answer a lot of questions that come in and maybe you're unsure about. So let's get on with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate on a nice big lump of mahogany which I've pulled out of our shipping container, which is right next door with our store of wood. Now this, as you can see, is just a dusty old piece of mahogany. It's probably off, I would say it's probably off of a Georgian piece of furniture, maybe a linen press or something like that. And I'm going to go through on each stage so you can see as we move along the stages of French polishing, and I'll explain the reasons why we do these things as well and the products involved. Right, let's get on. I'm going to vacuum off this dust and dirt so we can see the wood beneath, and I'll wash it over with some methylated spirits. Okay, that's the dust gone. I'm just going to wash over this surface with some methylated spirits, or denatured alcohol if you're in the States. I like using methylated spirits a lot with furniture restoration and finishing because really, when you apply a methylated spirits in this circumstance, it's going to show the colour of the wood really quickly and then they're going to evaporate away, allowing me to get on and do some more work. Methylated spirits, that's what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Methylated spirits, cloth. Just a bit of our cotton buffing cloth, that's all that is. Brilliant. Okay, so we're clean. You can see how quick it evaporates away. I've got loads and loads of space in here. We've got open doors. There's no need to have really masterful extraction for this small amount of area. It's all going to be dried very, very quickly. We'll just wait a minute or two and we'll get on with the next stage. Right, so we've vacuumed off. We've methylated spirits, wiped methylated spirits over the surface to clean it. Now we've got a lovely clean piece of mahogany. And as I'm rubbing my hands over it, actually I can feel how this piece of mahogany was shaped. It's got ridges over this. What we'll do as later on through the video, you'll see where this has been hand planed. It's almost like it's been used with an adze. And cut very much. So this is not something that's gone through machine planer. This dates to around 1770, 1780, maybe even earlier, I don't know for sure, but it's certainly a Georgian piece of wood. But it's just beautiful. Anyhow, stop touching it. I'm going to go on now. I'm going to divide this up into sections. I'm going to start with our first one, which is staining. Don't know if you can see this on the camera here, but I've just gouged out an area here on this mahogany because I want to demonstrate through the process of colouring. So just in case you're wondering where this little hole appeared, I've just gouged it. So we'll fill it and repair it in a minute and show you how I do that. Okay, let's get on with stage one. The very first thing we will do in the process of polishing is staining the wood. This is done at this stage, not after you've sealed it or anything else. It has to be done at this stage if you want to stain your furniture or your wood. But if you don't want to, then you skip on to the next process. But let's go to the staining. Okay, so here we are at the stage, the very first stage of polishing, the French polishing system, if you like, going through the stages. Oil stain is my choice for this. The reason I'm choosing an oil stain amongst the myriad of different stains there are out there, there's the chemical stains, cellulose, spirit-based stains, meth-based stains. The oil one is a lot easier to apply and has a longer open time once you apply it to the surface, by which I mean that you don't have to be in a panic to wipe off the excess. You can leave it there, you know, for a minute or two and it will wipe off quite easily. Wipe it with the grain and it'll give you a lovely even finish. The other stains that are available that I know many of you other sort of maybe semi-pros or pros use do give really nice finishes, but you need to know what you're doing. And for the purposes of this video and for people who are just getting into furniture restoration, the oil stain is a really nice finish and it's a traditional stain. I say finish, it's not a finish, it's a stain. It's a traditional stain that works really well on antique furniture, on all furniture really, but it gives a lovely colour and very easy to use. So that's why I'm using the naphtha based oil stains. Right, let's get on. You can see there I'm using some of our cotton cloth, the 100% pure cotton cloth. The reason being it's great for applying stains. A lot of the stain will be held within the cotton itself. As I gently squeeze the cotton cloth, the fad here, more and more stain will come out. I'm just going to charge the cloth with the stain, let it soak in, absorb in. I'm going to start top left and go right the way across the surface. What I didn't mention it actually was the colour. I'm actually using, it's an oak stain for this, it's dark oak. The reason being I just want to colour up the mahogany with a bit of a darker colour, that's all. You don't need to choose wood species specific stains. So by which I mean if you want to stain your ash, you don't need an ash stain. You could use any of the stains. You could use a walnut or a teak stain or a mahogany stain. Depends on what colour you're trying to achieve. For the purposes of this, I just want to make it darker. And the idea of a stain is it's there to enhance the natural wood, not to block it out. It's not there to obliterate the wood. It's there to enhance the natural beauty, to emphasise what is there, not to block it out. As you can see, the surface of this is still nice and wet. I might charge that again. If I was using a spirit base or a more volatile base stain, I'd have to be working a lot quicker. Right, I've stained the entire surface. Just put that down out of the way. I get my cleanish cotton cloth. I'm going to work my way with the grain over the surface. I haven't got to worry too much about it drying out because it's not really going to dry out that quickly. and I can go with the grain and see the stain coming off, the excess stain, change the face and keep working with the grain. There you go, it's stained. Now I'm going to leave this for an overnight period basically, so tomorrow morning we'll crack on with the second stage of the French polishing process. But I'm just going to leave this to dry for 12 hours or so, maybe a bit longer. And that is one of the differences between using an oil-based stain as opposed to the spirit-based or solvent-based stains, stronger solvent-based stains. They dry much quicker, which allows me, or the user then, to move on to the next stage of finishing, which means they can start sealing it up, polishing it and getting on with it, rather than having to wait. But in this circumstance, we need to wait with an oil stain. I think it's worth it. We'll come back in a minute. Well, in a minute. To you it'll be in a minute, but tomorrow for us. Okay, so we've waited overnight to do this. Sorry, the train's going by, it's just put me off a little bit. We're very lucky to have a heritage steam railway line right behind us here. And only recently has it just started running again after the COVID restrictions, so good luck to them. I hope they have a great summer. Anyhow, let's move on. So I'm going to mask off just one area here, I'm going to leave the stained area, and I'm going to move on to the next process in French polishing, which is grain filling. I've got some grain filler here. It's a thixotropic filler that's going to fill the grain in the same way as one might fill the grain if you were doing a lined oak finish, where you open up the pores of the timber in oak and apply a filler in it. Traditionally we would use a plaster of Paris type filler to get that lined oak finish. Here what we're doing in effect is cheating. We're cheating the process by applying the grain filler. Let me do it, I'll talk to you while I'm doing it. That's a good idea. Right, so I've got some grain filler. Our cotton cloth again. This is great for applying the filler. Just going to charge the cloth with some nice gloopy grain filler. It's got lots of solids content. And I'm going to work it over the surface of the wood in a circular motion, because I'm trying to force the filler into the grain. Why am I doing this, I hear you ask? Why is he doing that? It's a cheat. I'm going to do the French polishing process here. And I want to sort of fill the grain. I don't really want to show the grain, actually I want to fill the grain so it becomes almost like a sheet of glass. Not quite, it'll be slightly off of that, but and one way of doing that is by filling the grain a little with a grain filler, and this is a mahogany coloured or dark coloured grain filler, doesn't matter again too much. And I just want to, it just speeds up the process of finishing. This method of grain filling like this was used an awful lot, especially through the Victorian era in the UK. I don't know what that is in the US, but in the UK, Victorian, so through the 1800s It might have been employed even way before then in the 1700s, but certainly on furniture that I've seen coming through, Victorian furniture, they use it a lot. Edwardian furniture in the 1900s, they did it. And it's just a quick way of filling the grain, saves using a very expensive French polish or the shellac. And that's what it's about. Admittedly, it's not done very much these days, but I'm showing you just for demonstration purposes the processes of polishing. Again with another cloth, I'm just going to remove the excess, but again, circular motions with the grain. Not with the grain, against the grain. I don't want to pull it out. I'm trying to push it in. If you do want to try the grain filling process, want to attempt doing this yourself, just remember that once you start, you really can't stop. Don't think that you can just sort of go off, have a cup of tea, because you'll be in trouble. The grain filler will start drying on the surface, and it'll also leave you with a dry edge. So I'm working my way across, just watching this wet edge here, just keeping it wet because I don't want it to mark the wood. So immediately when I move on to the new piece, I'm going to work my way down the wet edge, keeping that fresh, and then move on. It's a bit like traditional gloss painting. You know, if you're painting a white door or gloss door with traditional oil paints, you'd always keep a wet edge moving. It's a bit like that with grain filler. Like I say, you don't really need it much these days. Modern finishes really don't need grain fillers. Keep on changing the face of the cloth, so I'm trying to remove the excess. Right, there you have it. It's now been stained here and grain filled to speed up the process. Now we're going to let this dry again overnight, and then we'll come back and we'll start the sealing process of fadding. So we're going to seal all of this in with the fadding process, which is number 3 in the stages of French polishing. Fadding. 1, 2, 3. Fadding. Now fadding is the process of applying shellac to seal the wood and provide the base for the next stages of French polishing. So I'm going to mask off the area where we've grain filled, and then we'll do an area of fadding. I'll explain more about it as I apply it. Okay, so stage 3. This is the point where I'm going to seal the wood. Now I'm going to fad French polish on, or shellac. In the UK we tend to call it French polish. In America, US, it's sort of shellac. We use pre-mixed French polish or shellac. I don't tend to mix our own. You can mix your own shellac, but for consistency, well, we have a number of restorers in here, French polishers. I want to make sure that we have exactly the same mix of polish, and it goes out on a commercial basis. So this is pre-mixed shellac, so it's French polish. It's special pale polish, that's the brand name for it if you like. It's a really, really good quality polish. It's transparent, it has a slight yellowing to it, but it's really lovely to polish with. There are other polishes out there. You garnet, button, transparent, I said that, or white polish. But the garnet, button polish, they're thicker polishes. So I would avoid those coloured polishes. They're much thicker. Go for a transparent, but not a bleached one that's sort of, I think it's called white polish, I think. It's too thin. Experiment. You'll find out what works best for you. So I'm going to seal up this using a fad. This is our pure cotton cloth, and it's brilliant for creating a fad or building a fad. It's not lint free, but that's just the way it is. But it's brilliant for applying the French polish or the shellac to the surface. I want to seal the wood. So I'm just going to charge. It's not making the right shape, so I'm just going to reshape. What I'm trying to do is create a pear shape, just so you know. I'm trying to create that sort of a nice, even pear shape with the fad. There you go. That's the pear shape I'm looking for. And now I'm going to charge the cotton cloth with the polish. I'm not going to dilute this. I'm not going to add any methylated spirits. I want it to seal the wood. I'll just soak into the fad so I really get it nice and wet. I'm using this tearaway pad just to push down onto the fad to even out, evenly distribute the polish inside the fad. So when I apply it, it's not squirting everywhere. And as I move along, I'll squeeze this very gently, applying more polish to the surface. So there we go, we're ready to go. You find it holds its shape once it's got fluid inside it, once it's got the shellac inside. So now I'm going to go across this surface. I'm going to start at the top right. I automatically put my hand behind my back. It's something that I did when I was 16. It was the way I was taught, because you don't put your hand on the surface. So it goes behind your back, gives you the right position, and then I start sealing up. With the grain, continuous movements. Look at that, that is spectacular. And now you can see this wonderful colour of the mahogany coming through. Absolutely amazing. So I've just passed over that once I'm not going to go back over it, not quite yet. Just give it a few minutes. Give it a few minutes. Just let the alcohol evaporate away and for it to dry on the surface, and we'll pass over this a few more times, sealing up the wood. Now we're talking about sealing up. I'm using the French polish as a sealer. We're fadding on the French polish, we're using it to seal the wood. You don't have to use French polish. It could be anything. It could be a varnish, it could be an oil. You'll see me in the other videos using hard wax oils. The reason I demonstrate using hard wax oils are because it's quick and easy finish for somebody at home trying to sort of start the world of finishing their furniture. You don't need any real technical skill. French polishing is a different kettle of fish, but I want to show you the processes. The processes of finishing wood are the same, regardless of whether I'm using special pale polish or a varnish or a hard wax oil or a sanding sealer. They all have their place. But for the purposes of this, I'm doing French polishing using shellac, so hopefully you'll demonstrate the French polishing process. But this is the point where you could use, and you've seen me in other videos, using hard wax oils. Anyway, let's move on. I'll let that just flash off for, actually probably, yeah, it's dry now. While I was chatting away, I'll just take away the bits of lint off the surface. There's still enough polish inside my fad. You can see it's just taken off some of the, actually probably the grain filler that we put on there, so there's a bit of colour come off. I'm going to give it another few fads of polish. Ooh. Really need to secure this down, so if I lift that up, so I've passed over that 2 times. That's all I've done there. And already there is a huge difference. Look at that. You can see that. I'm going to charge my fad one more time. Go over it again. I might do that, actually say 2 more times, and I'm going to leave it alone for a minute, just let that harden off a bit, and then we'll come back to it. And the temperature's in here right now, nice and warm, it's the middle of summer. It'll dry really quickly. Can you see how I'm going dead straight with the grain? And I'm lifting off as I come to the end. So I'm coming right off the ends. Not turning. I don't want to create a build-up of polish. I don't want too much polish going on there. Right, I'm going to do one or two more times and then that's it, and we'll move on to the next stage.